10 years. Happy birthday, Portal 2. You've aged like a fine wine. Some games really show their age, especially when it's from a previous console generation. However, I feel like Portal 2 was sent back in time from the future to give us the blueprint for amazing game design. It is a masterclass of level design, character development, and puzzle solving. All that in a roughly 8-hour single-player campaign. To start, do I think you should play Portal 1 before this? Yes. While the beginning of Portal 2 does a good job of reintroducing the gameplay, I think there's many key elements from Portal 1 that'll make Portal 2 an almost perfect experience. Character and story elements from the first game have been ramped up and hit much harder in the second game, as well as having your brain wired to think with portals is key to understanding the game. There will be mild spoilers moving forward, but the game is 10 years old, so I don't think it'll be anything too game-breaking. The story itself is fairly similar to the first game, and from a quick snap view of it, it's pretty simple. Escape. I am truly amazed how they were able to take such a simple concept and write it in a way that was fascinating to be a part of. Right away, we're introduced to the exact opposite type of character from GLaDOS. Wheatley is a high-energy ball of charisma. He explains that Shell has been asleep for an unknown amount of time, the building is on its last legs, and it's time to leave. The first section of the game reintroduces the concept of portals, very similar to the first game, but this time it's a condensed version. Accompanied by Wheatley, Shell uses portals, cubes, bridges, and excursion tunnels while avoiding turrets to eventually lead to the reunion of Shell and GLaDOS. GLaDOS, remembering who you are, crushes Wheatley and forces you back into the ruins. The return of GLaDOS means one thing: testing. Wheatley, who isn't completely destroyed, is sneaking around in the walls and eventually leads you back to GLaDOS. This time, however, a quick double turn leads to Wheatley taking control and becoming obsessed with power. No longer the insignificant little ball, he plummets Shell and the now potato GLaDOS deeper into the abandoned foundations of Aperture Science, run by Cave Johnson. This is where the game really takes a turn in terms of puzzles. It introduces repulsion, propulsion, and conversion gels, and these really force you to change the way you think. Armed with a slew of new mechanics and potato GLaDOS, Shell then needs to find a way to continue the escape. The levels are great. The beginning isn't as simplistic as the beginning of the first game, but it does a great job of making you think with portals again. It reminds you about searching for cubes, throwing yourself through portals for an abundance of speed, sneaking behind turrets, and all the different strategies from the first game. The middle teaches you all the new mechanics introduced in the game, and the end really forces you to think with everything. It's a great way of teaching, implementing, and perfecting, something a lot of new games struggle to do. Some levels are fairly linear, and some are extremely open and wide. It really forces you to learn how to adjust your thinking depending on the situation you find yourself in. The mechanics in this game fit beautifully. The addition of light bridges is fascinating, but I think it's the one that could have been left out and no one would have really noticed. The gels, on the other hand, are extremely unique and completely change the way you look at a level. The blue repulsion gel is essentially a trampoline effect on whatever surface you place it. From placing it on walls or floors, you can bounce your way to areas you can't have access to otherwise. The orange propulsion gel has a slip and slide effect, giving you a massive momentum boost without having to portal jump. And the best one of all, the conversion gel. This gel allows you to coat non-portal surfaces into portable capable surfaces. This is something I wish I had in the first game. So many times I was shooting portals into random areas just to see if I can make something click in my mind. But with this, I can place a portal where I want. It's something that I think if they ever make a Portal 3, could have the biggest impact for level design. The characters in Portal 2 are probably the most important thing in the game, and that's saying something weird about a puzzle game. Most puzzle games get by just fine with no character at all, or just a mascot and nothing else. Look at Tetris, no need for a character or story. But there is a story, and without these characters, there's nothing pushing the story forward. It's all told through the actions and words of two robots and pre-recorded messages. To be able to accomplish this feat just shows how clever the writing is. It's not stale writing either, with all three voices giving hilarious thoughts and opinions. The three voiced characters make up the villains, the teachers, the comic relief, the supporting cast, every type of character you could possibly need. They go through personality-changing experiences. They want to enjoy the pleasures of life even if it's just testing forever. They understand power and the feeling of being a helpless potato. The vast majority of games struggle to create well-defined characters, and they did it to a pre-recorded message, a murder bot, and a soccer ball-sized machine of charisma. The game also has such a satisfying conclusion, and the end fight hooked me right away. Not to give too much away, but it starts off with the explanation of, I have reviewed your fight from Portal 1. I have taken every precaution to make sure literally 0 strategies from that fight can be applied here. That alone is more character growth than a massive amount of other games have displayed. It just goes to show how in sync the writers were with the game. In my video about the first game, I talked about the programmers and how there were no glitches. The portals never got messed up and had issues loading shell in a weird spot or anything like that, and this game is no different. The load times felt shorter, the portals, the speed, the different mechanics all flowed with 0 technical issues. You could gain momentum from the orange gel, go through a portal, on a surface that originally couldn't have a portal, bounce off a wall, and land on a bridge. While that scenario never happened in the game, I have every confidence that it could be done with 0 technical issues. This game, and the series as a whole, is something I highly recommend. It's a game that everyone should play. It builds problem-solving skills, it builds critical thinking. It has a story and characters that are so well defined, it might as well be a movie. And yet, they did it essentially with no cutscenes. A lot of games these days can't move a story forward without a cutscene, and here they did it with characters talking in-game. They built better characters than character-driven games, all while having gameplay the entire way through. The more I think about both Portal 1 and 2, the more I realize how many things they did better than the majority of games, even to this day. In an era of gaming where games are released with a massive amount of glitches, with poorly defined characters and massive open worlds with nothing to do, this game shows just how advanced it truly was. On a side note, I live in an area that just recently returned to a state of lockdown, so I wasn't able to play the co-op mode. But that's okay, because in a few weeks or months, when my city opens back up and I get the urge to play some more Portal, I'll have an entire new mode to play through, and I'm sure it'll be a blast. So 10 years later, this game is still a masterclass of creativity, design, and storytelling. It is still a game that needs to be played and talked about, and hopefully it'll influence the next generation of game developers, and hopefully they'll be able to use these ideas and create something amazing with the new generation of game consoles. If there's one series of games people should return to more often, it's Portal. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure to click the thumbs up and remember to share it with your friends. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe for more videos about new and old games. Let me know down below if you plan on going back through the games, and if you think they still stand up 10 years later. Thanks for watching. My one letdown is the song at the end. While it's still great, it didn't really stand a chance against the perfect ending song from the first game.